Hi, my name is Pierson Parker, and today I'll be discussing The Last of the Mohicans. Written by James Fenimore Cooper in 1826, The Last of the Mohicans follows Uncas, his father Chingachgook, and his adopted white brother Hawkeye. Set during the French and Indian War, the majority of the story takes place on the August 10th, 1756 massacre at Fort William Henry. In the beginning of this novel, we are introduced to Major Duncan Hayward, who is madly in love with Cora Monroe, the daughter of his superior. However, she does not feel the same way about him. Major Hayward is required to lead a battalion of troops and the Monroe sisters to Fort William Henry to rendezvous with Colonel Edmund Monroe. This group is guided by Magua, a native Huron spy who has had a vendetta against the Monroe family. The troop is ambushed by the Huron tribe, and Magua is in the lead. Luckily, the trio of Mohicans was in the area and came to their rescue. However, they were only able to save Major Duncan and the Monroe sisters. From here out, they followed Hawkeye to the fort, however, hitting many obstacles and blockades along the way. Upon arrival at the fort, they realized that the British were under siege and vastly outnumbered. This is where the Mohican trio reunited with some old pioneer friends and had to tell them the unfortunate news of the destruction of many of their families and homes. These pioneers were ready to leave the front lines, upsetting Colonel Duncan. Because Duncan did not believe the natives, he had Hawkeye locked away for treason and lying. Amidst all this violence and chaos, a love was forming between Cora and Hawkeye. On the day that Hawkeye was scheduled to take trial, the British fort was forced to surrender to the French, and they were given the night to evacuate the fort. The terms of the surrender protected the British from further French violence. However, this angered Magua. On their way home, the entirety of the fort's inhabitants were again attacked by the Huron tribe, leaving many casualties in their wake, including Colonel Monroe, killed by Magua. The small group was again able to escape the massacre, and they ended up hiding behind a waterfall, but were forced to split paths as they were discovered by the Hurons. Cora, Alice, and Duncan were taken as prisoners by the Hurons, while Hawkeye, Uncas, and Chingachgook remained close on their tail. Arriving back at camp, Magua consults the village elder, and it is decided that Cora and Alice will be burned, while Duncan will be sold back to the British Army for a hefty price. This is until Hawkeye enters the camp unarmed and with a proposal. It is decided that because of Magua's greed, Alice and Duncan will be released, while Cora is still expected to be burned. Duncan then takes Cora's place, and Alice is sent with Magua to be returned home. Cora and Hawkeye leave in hopes of catching up to Alice and Magua, and Unka arrives there first. However, Magua kills Unka and knocks him off a cliff. And to avoid being killed by Magua, Alice jumps off the cliff, following Unka to his death. And at last, Chingachgook kills Magua in revenge for killing his son, and the three are left to mourn the deaths of their loved ones, leaving Chingachgook as the last living Mohican. The novel and the movie are much different because of the romanticized and detail-oriented way that the book was written, and the movie has to skip over so many of these important small details. In addition, the movie is modernized to fit the viewers of the time that it was made. Relating to our class, the movie and novel demonstrate the writing style and imagination of early U.S. history, and providing insight into the minds of our country's past authors and citizens. This ties into our class extremely well and focuses on the historical text of the United States. In conclusion, The Last of the Mohicans is, both as a novel and a film, provides powerful insight into American history and relationships between Native Americans and settlers. And I'd like to end by asking if anyone has any questions.